Rejection. It's a harsh word. When it happens to you, you feel it. It hurts. Bad. It often seems permanent. But being rejected time and time again doesn't have to be the end of the road. In fact, it's oftentimes just the beginning of something big.
Yeah, Nashville, Tennessee is it's called Music City for a reason. There are guys and girls here from all over the world trying to make it in the music business. When I decided I wanted to move here, I told my parents, and they kind of knew along the way that I'd been thinking about moving to Nashville. So when the time came and I told them, hey, I really want to do this. My dad was kind of, he was an ex-high school football coach. His life revolved around sports, just like mine did. So he didn't tell me not to do it, but he kind of looked at me like I had 5 heads. My mom, on the other hand, from the very get-go, she's like, you wanted to do this for a long time. If you don't do it now, you probably never will, and you're going to regret it. So my mom pretty much pushed me to make this decision and just go with it, go for it. When I first moved to Nashville, I read an article, the very first day I moved here actually, I read an article in Music Row magazine by a guy named Tim Dubois. Tim said in this article that you have a better chance of getting drafted into the NBA out of high school than you do to make it as a songwriter. The odds are less than 1% to do this because of all the people that are here. I mean, people can move in this town every day. I mean, if you go downtown right now, your waiter is probably a songwriter. The guy valet parking your car is probably a songwriter. And the nightlife here in Nashville is full of those guys and girls. They're on stages. They got a dream and they're going to make it. And the sad part is most are not going to make it. When I moved to town, I could probably name 8 or 9 guys that moved here about the same time as me, and we wrote together. Out of those 8 or 9 that would come to my mind, I'm the only one left. I wrote a lot of songs before I had my first hit. I'm writing a song a day, so I moved here in '94. My first hit was like in '04. And, you figure a song a day, 4 or 5 days a week, and that's a lot of songs. Kinda Caroline, kinda cold beer. When you're doing what we're doing, I don't think there's anybody who can say that at some point quitting didn't come to mind. It's such a tough business, You come here, you show up every day, and most days you go by, 90% of your days, you're not seeing any success. Even when you get to the level I'm at now, it's like, I write 120 songs a year to maybe get 15 or 20 of those songs recorded. If I'm lucky, that's a good year. That's a great year, actually. When I was going through those first 10 years, my parents are getting older, I had kids shortly after that. In 2000, I had my first kid. So my goal always was to make it before my kids get to school. And if I can't make it before they start school, go back to Georgia. Growing up in Georgia like I did, it's like, I knew I wanted to be a songwriter, but I didn't tell a lot of people because, football really was religion in Georgia where I grew up. My biggest dream was getting to this town that I'm in right now. My first hit was with a guy named Jeff Bates, and it's a song we wrote together with a friend of ours named Gordon Bradbury. The story behind that song was pretty crazy. I literally, the night before I got the news that I had the single, is probably the lowest. I can't believe I'm getting choked up about that. All right, I'll try again. Yes, that's a tough story. I've been in town 10 years. And I had a sincere prayer the night before I got the news about Jeff Bates. I was like, just, God, let me know what I need to do. My family, my parents are getting older. My grandparents are getting older. If I'm supposed to be here, I need a sign. And literally the very next day, Jeff Bates calls me and says, dude, I got some good news. You got my next single. It's about to come out. I can honestly say, since that day, I've never looked back once. You know, I feel like my songs, I'm supposed to be here. My songs are supposed to, you know, make people happy, change lives or whatever. So I feel like I'm in line with what God wants me to be doing. My next hit was in 2009, and so I went 5 years there. You know, I mean, I had some success in between there, where I was getting songs recorded, just not having songs on the radio. And the last thing you want to be is that one-hit wonder. You know, so you're sitting there wondering, all right, I've talked to God. I know where I'm supposed to be. Am I supposed to be here hitless, or is there big things heading my way? About that time is when I started writing. Me and Rhett, my buddy Rhett Akins, and a guy named Dallas Davison started writing pretty heavy together. And I still remember the conversation we had in one of our first 2 or 3 co-writes. It's like, man, we kind of all felt like we were chasing radio. We're chasing what Nashville is doing. And a lot of times we get in the truck and put our songs in, and we loved them. And so we kind of made the decision, let's write what we love. Let's do something we love. If we can leave here today with a song that we want to play, that we want to turn up, there's probably some other people that are going to feel the same way. So let's be who we are. You know, we're country boys. We're from Georgia. We grew up, you know, hearing our grandparents talking a certain way, and you know, there's a way that we grew up that a lot of people can't relate to. But even if you can't relate to it, it's interesting to you. I mean, I personally witnessed my mom pouring grease in a Crisco can growing up, you know, smoking Salem's with the windows up. I mean, I remember riding around with my granddad with the windows up, him smoking. And I would try to roll the window down just to get a little fresh air. He said, roll that window up, you letting the cool air out. I didn't know that I was probably sitting there breathing in secondhand smoke, and he didn't know it either. He just knew that he didn't want me to waste his air conditioning. You know, I had tobacco put on a bee sting to take the sting out. So things like that, you know, that's not really mainstream country music these days. So we started out just writing things that we saw growing up from our families, from our parents, from our grandparents. And, you know, we even put in the song, you might not know what I'm talking about. I may sound like I'm talking crazy in a different language, but that's all right. And because I lived it.
You wouldn't know to love like I love you unless you lived it.
And, you know, that's one of my favorite songs because it's really personal and it's really honest, and it's really a dying way of life. That, you know, that stuff that I saw growing up and the things I lived, my kids will never know about that stuff. You know, that those days are over. And from that moment forward, we started getting songs recorded left and right, and it just completely blew up. The Peach Picker name came about from just one day, me and Rhett and Dallas, we write every Wednesday. So every Wednesday that comes around, we're in a writing room together. And one day we're in there, and we're all from Georgia, so we all play guitar. So Rhett just jokingly called us the Peach Pickers, and it kind of blew it off, didn't really think anything about it. Then one day we're doing an article with Country Weekly, and in the article, Rhett throws out the Peach Pickers again, jokingly. And the next article that comes out, Peach Pickers do it again. So from that day forward, we kind of became the Peach Pickers, and people know us as that, you know, and not just people in Nashville. I think that also helped us get an opening gig on Luke Bryan's farm tour every year. So we go out with Luke every year and we open up for him, you know, for 6 or 8 dates in front of 20,000 people a night. I mean, literally, we can stop singing at any time during those songs and just stop, and the crowd does not stop.
Girl, I've been thinking about us. You know I ain't good at this stuff.
We do it all the time, and that's the moments that you kick back. You know, like I have a song called Anywhere With You.
I'll go anywhere. West Virginia, baby, I don't care.
So when I get to the last chorus, I don't sing it. I just stand there, and I'm in awe. I'm like, every time, I'm like, man, look at this. I mean, there's 20,000 people singing my song. And it is that moment where you're like, this is crazy how far we've come. Well, when you're a songwriter, you're pretty much getting rejected every day, because there's not a day that goes by that my songs don't get heard. I mean, somebody's hearing my songs every day, and 99% of the time they're saying no. So, I mean, nobody wants to be rejected, but you really sincerely have to be about as mentally tough as a person as there is to make it in this business, because if you can't handle failure, you just can't be in this business. When you're a songwriter or you're an artist, there's going to be people out there that sit behind a computer and their only job in life is to talk about your songs, and you know, they're going to tell you why they're going to tell the public why they're so bad, why they're so bro country is the quote unquote term that goes around these days. And you know, I don't like reading that stuff. I can't sit here and say it doesn't bother me sometimes, because it does, but it doesn't bother me like it used to. I mean, you know, I know there's gonna be opinions about my songs. Only judge I need is 2 things. First of all, how I feel about it, and also if I felt the same way in that art. And Blake Shelton loves it also, and obviously a lot of other people love it because it just went #1. So am I gonna look at this song that goes #1, or look at this guy over here who doesn't even put his name behind his article? Social media these days, I mean, especially if you're an artist, I mean, you know, guys like Thomas Rhett and Luke Bryan are getting so much hate, and sometimes it's easier. You can have 5 million people sit there and tell you how great you are on social media, and that one guy tells you how bad you suck, and sometimes that's all you focus on is that one guy. And you gotta just put that behind you. And the best thing is not read it, but we're probably gonna read it because we're human, and there's stuff being written about you, you want to see what they're saying. You got to take it with a grain of salt and realize that, you know, the 5 million that like you are the ones that matter, not the one that doesn't. To get anything worth having in life it's not going to come easy. I mean, at some point in that, you're going to have to fight for it, and you're going to have to stand up, and you're going to have to keep moving when you don't want to. You're going to have to talk yourself out of quitting. And you know, I've been there for sure, and I know that my philosophy was just keep showing up every day. You know, I wish my philosophy would have been at the time just enjoy the journey. That would have made it a whole lot easier probably. But you don't have a crystal ball. You don't know. You know, the thing about songwriting or life or anything else, you don't know if you're on the 1-yard line about to score a touchdown or on the 1-yard line about to get tackled in your own end zone. So you got to, if you got something you truly love and you truly cannot live without, you got to keep showing up every day. Show up, be there, be present, outwork the next guy. You know, if you don't have I don't know if you can say this on here, but you know, if you don't have a relationship with God, you better get one, because that's what got me to where I am today. If you get rejected, you've got to look inside yourself, and you got to ask yourself, how bad do I want this? Is it worth being rejected again and again and again and again? And if the answer is yes, then the heck with the rejection. Just keep grinding every single day, no matter what. If you look at it and say, you know what, I can live without this, then it's probably not worth the rejection. You need to go down a different road. But if your answer is, I can't live without this, then you know what, bring the rejection on, because eventually there's going to be no more rejection. I'm excited about my future. I mean, I've accomplished 100 times more than I ever thought I would. I never dreamed of being Songwriter of the Year. I've been that twice. I never dreamed about writing 20 #1 songs. I'm there. But does that mean I'm done? No. I mean, I love getting up and coming to work every day. I mean, you know, when I get to a point where I don't enjoy doing what I'm doing, I'll do something else. You know, I'll bush hog every day, or I'll find something to do. But right now, I love writing country music. I love hearing my songs on the radio. I love standing in front of a crowd and seeing people sing my songs. I love the fact that you get an email that said, hey, that song changed my life. So as long as all that stuff is that important to me, I'm going to keep rocking. I mean, they're going to have to run me out of town.